Here are 5 rules that you will easily break here in Germany without ever even knowing it. Let's jump straight into it. Do not turn right on red. Just because you can do that in the US does not mean you can do that here. And it can be really tricky, I would say, when you first start driving here, because you kind of just go with the flow of traffic. Oh, there's no oncoming traffic coming my way or turning to their left. So I can go and just turn on red, turn to my right. But no, that is not how you drive here. You need to wait for the signal to either flash. It could be one of those yellow signals that just tells you it's okay to go and use caution, or you need to fully wait for that light to turn green. We have slipped through a couple of times, and after those times, you just don't do it again because you're like, that was a no-no. This is something that you learn when you take your driver's test. It was still hard to apply in practice. I needed practice. But once you get the hang of it, it's something that as you drive and as you start to follow just road rules in general here, you will say like, oh, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. And you don't really need to do that ever again. In my mind right now, I have this like intersection that we often take that has, it's like 2 lights, a turn light, a light that goes straight, and that's for both sides. And then this little mini street that also has lights going on, but also a pedestrian light. And then there's shops across the way that also has a light, but it's very rarely used. And then the way that traffic flow, it's like, it's so organized and it works so well. It makes no sense, but it's one of those things that if you just slip up and you decide to drive however you want, like, oh, I'm gonna just turn on red here, you mess up the whole system and it can be really dangerous for everybody. So you just want to be careful. Okay, I don't know if this one actually counts. Allegedly, touching fruit. We were told by a friend of ours that you are not supposed to touch fruit in the grocery stores. You're not really supposed to go through and feel for firmness and, you know, just like calming fruit is a no-no. Then we were told by somebody else, this is how the little telephone line can get you messed up, because now I'm so uncertain if this is an actual rule or not. But somebody else said that that's not true. And I would say, because I heard the initial advice first, or the initial rule first, I am so nervous to touch fruit for firmness and freshness and all the things in the grocery store. I do it, but I do it in a way that's kind of like, you know, I hope nobody's paying attention or watching. And I think I'm just subconsciously like really nervous to get yelled at in the grocery store, because I've been yelled at. I have been yelled at already being here. And yes, I have been yelled at the grocery store for doing other things that I was just not aware of. To avoid getting yelled at further, I just try to, you know, be vigilant in the things that I'm doing, making sure that as I'm maneuvering through, especially the produce section, that I'm just respectful. Basically, that's all it is. Just be respectful and hygienic, you know, when you're doing things, and that's really it. That's it. I don't really know if that's a real rule, but I'm gonna add it as a rule for this video. Let's take a moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Feather. Feather is a digital insurance provider designed by expats who understand how challenging dealing with German bureaucracy can actually be. They offer plans that fit whatever lifestyle you have here in Germany, and they are experts at providing advice and support where needed. Their goal is to make insurance easy to understand and simple to register for, which I think is great because it gives you one less thing to worry about as you are navigating life abroad. One of my favorite features on Feather's website is their recommendation tab, which helps you determine which Feather plan is right for you, especially if you just don't know where to start. And if you happen to break one of the rules or more serious laws discussed in today's video, having good legal coverage can really make a difference. Feather's legal insurance includes coverage for personal, traffic, as well as as professional matters. They also offer home add-ons that cover disputes arising as a tenant or homeowner, issues with rental contracts, rent increases, as well as property management. Disputes with employers and landlord-related conflicts are two of the most frequent uses of Feather's legal policy. Now, if you'd like to learn more, check out the link down below in my description box. Now let's get back to today's video. Recycling. Now, should I do a whole video on recycling and trash here in Germany? I probably should, I probably could, because this video is not long enough for the rules of trash, basically. With trash here in Germany, it is so specific. I don't want to say that everything is strict. I feel like that is such a stereotype to label everything German as strict. But there are specific rules to trash here in Germany. And in particular, in my neighborhood, we have, I think, 4 bins. We have our regular, like everything kind of trash bin, which is the Restmüll. And then we have our plastic bin, we have a paper bin, and then we also have our Biomüll bin, which is for greens, for like, you know, old produce and things that are, I don't even know, I can't even think about the term right now, but you know, like if I'm outside and I'm doing cuttings in the yard and clipping my bushes and things like that, I'll put that in the Biomüll. So we have everything organized based on what category they go in. So as we're throwing the trash in, we are throwing it in the correct bins in our home so that when we take it outside, it's a lot less of a hassle to separate. So Sundays here in Germany are such interesting days because everything is, for the most part, closed. When I said that before, I got comments telling me I was wrong. But in my experience and in my neighborhood, all of the stores, except for the gas station, are closed on Sundays. So that is just a universal rule. I think it's nice. We kind of had an experience like that in Ecuador where certain shops were closed on Sundays because I did enjoy getting my grocery shopping done on a Sunday. It really was like just an added day to do stuff after a really busy week, but I do understand that we are giving, you know, grace and time to all workers and everybody needs a break. So I get it, I do understand it, but just from my own cultural perspective and what I'm used to, Sundays used to be for grocery shopping. Now, when it comes to Sundays and etiquette, Sundays with noise is like a no-go. The only noise I ever hear on Sundays are kids playing outside, which is lovely, lovely noises, and then people practicing their instruments, which we have quite a few musicians in our neighborhood. It's really lovely to hear. And then including myself when I'm practicing my violin, it's like a nice time to remember to like take time for yourself and to, you know, enjoy your hobbies and to just chill. So I need a reminder to just chill sometimes. Usually on Sundays we'll also go to church, so that's a nice kind of reset for the week too. And then after church, you know, you have your slower, quieter Sunday. So I do appreciate that cultural element here in Germany, but it's still something to get used to. And when we lived in that Airbnb, I think it was like for a month or so, we did have to make sure we were extra respectful because we had neighbors on like all sides of us basically, and then we had neighbors top and bottom. And I felt like living in an apartment, you know, you're living in an apartment. I would hope that people give you grace, but it's also, you know, up to you to make sure that you are doing what you can do to, you know, mitigate the foolishness on Sundays if you can. I saved the best for last, which actually is not the best. It's just the most easily breakable law / rule here in Germany that we have encountered so far. And that is speeding and just being in your car, being on the Autobahn. I feel like the Autobahn is a very tricky place. At least it is for me, maybe not for you, but I was told before getting here that the Autobahn is so fun, it's so cool, there is no speed limit, you can just go as fast as you want. And that is the case in some areas of the Autobahn. What's tricky is when the speed limit has been limitless for quite a while and then all of a sudden you stumble upon 80 and you're like, whoa, how am I gonna go from like 120 or more to 80 within only a couple of seconds? It feels like a couple of seconds. And we have encountered that a couple of times. We've gotten some tickets. Tickets here are very, very interesting because it's like up to a certain limit until you lose your privileges of driving. And yeah, driving here, I feel like you should drive here. Having a car helps out a ton. But if you don't have the ability to drive because you have been speeding too much and you lose your license, then you are kind of SOL. Excuse my French. I've learned my lesson with those limitless speed limits. I'm like a right lane girly. Like I will stay on the right. And there are usually like these either mobile like speed cameras that are sometimes just randomly plopped in areas and you didn't even know. Like, oh, I've driven this route hundreds of times and now there's a mobile speed camera. I do not want any more speeding tickets for our car. So my husband and I, we have conversations often about how we are trying to do our due diligence and maintain good speeds so that we stay out of trouble. And I would say just overall, with the 5 things I shared in this video, I hope that this was an education for you all, like a slight education to get you a little bit further so that you don't break any of these rules and become a victim to the system or a culprit, because if you made it this far, you will have 0 excuses as to why you get in trouble breaking these rules. This was supposed to be a video of 10 things, and I don't know what happened. I yapped for way too long. I apologize for that. I really, really do. So if you want to see a part 2, let me know in the comment section below, and also by liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you want to see more videos like this, more expat life stories and vlogs and all the things. And I also want to say a special thanks to Feather again for sponsoring this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe out there. Make sure you are following the rules, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Mwah.